beast! Ah!
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage filmography podcast. I'm Megs.
I'm Elizabeth.
And this week we watched 2005's The Weatherman. It stars Nicolas Cage and Michael Caine. Also Hope Davis. Nicholas Hoult is in this movie, a very, very young Nicholas Hoult. David Spritz is played by Nicolas Cage. He is a Chicago weatherman. He's divorced with 2 kids and an impressive father named Robert, who's played by Michael Caine. He hates his life and his job and just wants to impress everyone. He's waiting to hear if he got a job on a national program in New York City called Hello America with Bryant Gumbel. His daughter, Shelley, is unhappy and sneaks cigarettes. She's 12. Dave tries to get her into different activities like archery, but she's really not interested. His son, Mike, is 15 and has a slight drug problem. It's never really, discussed, but I think it's just like weed. His ex-wife, Noreen, played by Hope Davis, is just trying to be an amicable co-parent. One of the perils of being the weatherman is that Dave gets food and drink items thrown at him on the street. He's not a meteorologist. He only works about 2 hours a day reading prompts and takes home about $240,000 a year, which is a pretty good salary, especially in, $2005. And despite the thrown objects, he also gets bonuses, so he's able to easily sleep with women. He just likes to hire them. That's what he does. One day, his father shows up outside of the news station and tells Dave that he has lymphoma. Dave starts contemplating his life and how his father sees him. All he wants is for his dad to live and to see him get this job and fix his family. Meanwhile, his son has finished a counseling program for drugs, and one of his old counselors is showing interest in him that is not appropriate. He buys him things at the mall and takes him to movies, things like that. Dave tries to engage with his kids and take them to a family winterfest, but only Shelley is available. There's a potato sack race on an ice rink, and Shelley ends up falling and tearing both her ACL and her MCL. Noreen is upset. Her new man, Russ, tries to step in, but an argument erupts, and then his dad comes out. Once Noreen and Russ go back inside, Robert tells Dave that he came by because he's concerned about Shelley. Apparently, when he picked her up from school on Wednesday, the kids there are calling her Camel Toe. David tells Robert that he's going to talk with her. He'll get her through the knee injury. They'll start archery again. He'll fix all of this. He just wants his daughter to be happy. She's never done anything to anyone. Dave calls Noreen later. He says that the push and pull that they have is not good for the kids. He wants to see someone with her. Noreen agrees. They take a group class on trust or something. But when the counselor gives them an objective and asks them to write something down that each participant has done to hurt their partner, but it's something that the other person doesn't know that they did, then they fold it up and hand it to them, but they're not supposed to read it. That's supposed to be trust. But Dave can't help himself and goes into the bathroom and reads Noreen's note as soon as he can. Apparently, Dave had dreams to be a writer like his father is, but Noreen wrote that she hated the book that he wrote and it was a waste of 4 years. He tells her when they get coffee after that he read the note, and they argue. Noreen storms out. Dave follows her out and then takes her home. He just wants to know everything so that he can fix everything. On the way home, when they get there and he's dropping her off, he tells Noreen that he wants to try their marriage again. Noreen tells him looking at what she wrote was dishonest, and let's go ahead and read yours. So she pulls out the paper that he wrote on, and apparently he wrote that blowjobs lacked enthusiasm. Noreen tells him it's because she hated him. That's why she wasn't enthused. Dave waits with his dad for treatment next. Dave asks if he's read his book, and Robert says he's been preoccupied with having cancer and everything. Apparently, Robert's lymphoma is too advanced for radiation. He has to look at clinical trials. Dave tells him on the way back about the possible offer with Hello America. He wants to move the whole family to New York City, start fresh. Robert says it might be a good idea. At work, Dave speaks to a meteorologist. He's trying to understand how the weather works, but the guy basically says it's wind. He doesn't know. It's a guess. Dave decides to go back to the archery range, but for him, just by himself. He seems to get into it for a bit, and after some training, he seems to do okay. Mike ends up having dinner with his former counselor at the guy's apartment. Mike is into weightlifting at school. The counselor talks him into taking off his shirt so that he can take pictures of Mike. Then he tells him that he can borrow the camera that he took the pictures with, as Mike also has an interest in photography. Dave buys a new wrist guard and type of arrow, and he takes Shelley to a park, and he shows her what he's learned and tries to get her back into it. She ends up telling him that she's not interested anymore. As they walk back, Dave asks what it was about archery that made her want to do it in the first place, and she tells him that she really just wanted to learn how to hunt. She wanted to learn how to kill animals. Dave is not into killing animals. He says that that's not what they'll be doing together. If they do anything, it'll just be target practice. But Shelley still just is not interested. When Dave drops her off, he tells her that he might be going to New York City. There's a small chance, but if he does go, does she want to come? Her granddad has him test there too. So she says, yeah, of course she'll go with him. As he leaves, Mike walks up. He says Dave doesn't look so good. Dave tells him that he just wants to see them sometimes, and he parks and looks at the house. Mike thinks he's weird, but all teens think their parents are weird. As Mike walks away, Dave contemplates what he could have done to keep them together and flashes back to an argument he and Noreen had over dinner one night when Dave was supposed to go and get it and to, quote, not forget the tartar sauce. But the entire time he's gone, he's got a voiceover of his mind just wandering and wanting to screw a woman that he sees and not having had a Spanish omelet in a long time, and he forgets to get the tartar sauce at the restaurant. He tells Noreen that they were out and a fight starts. They fight all the time. We see a short montage of them arguing with the kids trying to avoid it, and then a conversation with Robert where he tells Dave that sacrifices have to be made and that the hardest things and the right thing are usually the same. Next, Dave is at work. He's arguing with a meteorologist about degrees of variances for 18 degrees when someone comes in and says that there's a call for Dave. It's the Hello America show in New York City asking him to come up for an interview. Dave takes Shelley to New York City like he promised. He asks her about school and how she's doing. When he asks her about being called camel toe, she says it's because camels have tough toes. She's tough too. Dave takes her shopping and buys her several high-class looking dresses and says they are, quote, New York style. He tells her that she looks great in them and she's so grown up. Shelley is over the moon with all of her new cool, sophisticated clothing. They go back to the hotel. Shelley shows Robert her new clothes. And when she goes to put them down, Robert tells Dave that Mike was arrested for fucking up his counselor's car. Mike says the guy was trying to be sexual, so Mike threw a rock through the car window. The counselor is claiming that Mike tried to steal his wallet. After that, Dave takes his dad to the hospital for his test. He calls Noreen and tells her he thinks what Mike said is what's true. He says he can come home, but Noreen says no, just stay in New York City and do his TV thing, and they argue about that. Robert has his tests. There's nothing that can be done for his cancer. He was given about 3 to 4 months to live. Dave is devastated, but he does the interview the following day with Hello America anyways. While waiting for his screen test, Bryant Gumbel introduces himself. He thinks it went well. They fly back home. When Dave drops Shelley off, he goes to talk to Mike. Russ stops him just inside the house, tells him what he knows, and while Dave is taking his gloves off, while Russ is talking to him, he reaches up and just out of nowhere slaps Russ with his gloves. Dave and Robert leave. Dave contemplates a rewrite of his novel, but deletes it. He goes and shoots some arrows in a park. His mother discovers something called a living funeral and decides to throw one for Robert. On the day of the living funeral, Dave gets hit with a hot apple pie from McDonald's while someone else in the street is asking about the weather. Dave loses it a bit and picks up the pie. He chases the car down and says he has to see his family now, and he has pie all over him and shoved the remainder of the pie in the passenger's face. While standing at an intersection, Dave gets a call from Hello America. At the living funeral, Dave tells Noreen he was just offered the job. His salary would be about $1.2 million, including all of his bonuses and whatnot. He wants to try their marriage again. Noreen tells him that she's marrying Russ. Dave decides to go outside and gets his bow and arrow from the trunk of his car. He does some target shooting with the trees. Then he sees Russ walk outside to smoke a cigarette, and he draws an arrow on Russ. He doesn't fire it, but his voiceover is telling us about all the wind conditions and the distance that he would need in order to hit him. Russ ends up seeing this, and he moves to stand in a group with Noreen and Robert. The group turns to look at Dave. He lowers his bow and goes back inside. Everyone's giving their eulogies for the living funeral. When it's Dave's turn to give his eulogy, all he's able to get out is that the Bob Singer song Like a Rock is what he thinks of when he thinks of his dad. Then the power goes out. 40 minutes later, when the lights come back on, everyone has forgotten about him speaking and they never go back to it. Back at Dave's apartment a day or so later, Dave gets a voicemail while sitting with Mike from Hello America. They need an answer on the job. Mike says he should answer his phone. Dave asks if Mike brought the stuff that the counselor gave him, and Mike says yes, it's by the door. Dave leaves and goes to the counselor's house. He takes back the sweater the guy bought Mike and the camera he let Mike borrow. He throws the camera and it hits the guy in the face. He says he saw the guy buy the sweater from Mike at the mall, and he tells him he's going to tell the cops about it and beats the shit out of the guy. The whole time, Dave's voiceover is contemplating why he gets hit with things like apple pies. Clowns get hit with pies. The whole scene is actually a bit unhinged. After beating up the counselor, he takes Mike to the mall for food. While he's waiting for Mike, Dave continues his voiceover about what he's been hit with. It's always fast food. Something cheap and tastes good, but with no substance. He's fast food. When Mike gets to the table, Dave tells him he's not in trouble. He took care of it. He tells Mike he's not an adult yet and not to put himself in adult situations until he is, and Mike agrees. When Dave gets back to the office, his dad is there waiting for him in his car. Dave gets in the car and his dad puts on the Bob Seger song. He doesn't understand. Dave explains it's the line where Bob Seger goes, "And I held firm to what I felt was right, like a rock." He tells Robert that's what he thinks of when he thinks of his dad. Then he tells him he's got the Hello America job. Robert congratulates him and asks if he's okay. Dave tells him he can't knuckle down. Noreen is getting married. Robert notices Dave's knuckles and asks what happened. Dave tells him that he saw Mike's counselor. Mike isn't in trouble, and Robert says that he did good. He tells Dave, "You always worry about your kids, no matter how old." Then he tells Dave that he read his book. Dave says he was going to edit it, but he chucked it. Robert says that's just what he does. He's written for a long time. He's practiced and gotten better, like Dave and the weather. Dave says he doesn't predict anything. He just guesses. Robert turns off the music and tells Dave there are things in this shit life that you have to chuck. There's always looking after. You have time. Robert passes away. His funeral is held on a very rainy day. Mike and Shelley meet Dave on the way to the grave. Mike tells Dave that he wants to be a cameraman for Monday Night Football. Is that okay? Dave says it is. Dave thinks about all the imaginings he had growing up and all the skills he thought he had, and how the older he got, the number of those things shrank until he was just one, a weatherman. He's in New York City now. He gives the weather report on the morning news. Noreen is remarried and his kids still live with her. He's good at his job and he doesn't get hit with food and drinks anymore. Although that might be because he walks around the city with a bow and arrow like a lunatic. He goes to Chicago on the weekends to see his kids. None of this is easy, but like his dad always said, easy doesn't enter into this grown-up life. The end. Elizabeth?
Yes, dear.
What did you think of this movie?
I thought it was really bleak.
That is the exact word that I had for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's kind of a downer of a film. He has these lofty thoughts and these lofty goals of getting his family back together, but at the same time, he's honestly not doing much to effectuate that change. And it's really just a series of downer notes.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Like I said, bleak is the same word that came to my mind while I was watching it. But also the word, what came to my mind is that this is just such a normal person thing.
Yeah.
Like the movie itself is just a very normal human story. There's nothing explosive about it. There's nothing critical going on. Other than Robert's cancer, but even that is not even really it's not a climactic thing. It's just, we learn about it at the very beginning of the movie. It just is. And yeah, no, bleak is a good descriptor.
I thought Nicholas Hoult was fantastic. I was surprised when he showed up, but I was pleasantly surprised when he showed up.
Same.
It is clear from the very first interaction with the counselor that the counselor is grooming him for something.
Yep.
And that's nasty.
Yeah.
Michael Caine's American accent is atrocious.
Agreed, but it always is.
Hope Davis was really good. The girl that played Shelley was really good. It just overall was a depressing film.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know how long this is supposed to what time frame this is supposed to take place in, but I feel like it's just happening over one winter season.
Over one winter, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just happening in the course of 2 or 3 months. That's a lot of shit to happen in the course of 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Even the good news is very subdued. I got this amazing job and I'm going to go from making, a little less than $250,000 a year to making a fucking $1 million over the next year. And like, that's not happy news. It's very, this movie's very sad. It is very bleak. You're right. It's very, very melancholic.
What would we rate this movie?
I mean, I think that you're right because it is a downer. I don't know. Maybe some people are just in that mood. It's only got a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I think I would give it a B just because there's a lot. Go ahead.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay. There's just a lot of subject matter that's touched on that feels just so existential.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a man moving very slowly through a very fast midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Almost like his character. I mean, the acting is good. If we were going to look at the caginess of it, I think that I would give him an A.
I would give him an A as well.
I feel like for the content of what was happening, the way he made his character move as though it was like through sludge and everything around him. Like I feel like you could feel the depression coming off of the screen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, we're going to give it a B because it is a good, it was well acted. It was well written. It was well cast. Some parts of it were atrocious. Nicolas Cage's toupee, however, was fucking spot on. Spot on. Spot on. Whatever they did with the lighting in the movie made his eyes pop. Him and Nicholas Hoult, they have amazing blue eyes that just catch fucking light like no other. And it has a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I'm not comfortable saying that I would really recommend this movie to anyone.
It's kind of a hard watch because it is so bleak.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like, watching it, it's just an everyman story where, most people in the US are probably going through at least one of the situations that he's going through, separation or divorce, kids that won't listen to you, teenagers especially, problems at work, problems with your parents, sadness, all of that. But I'm not going to recommend this movie. I don't think that I would recommend it. I don't think that we would have watched it if we hadn't, if it wasn't something we had to do for this. But I don't know. It was okay.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I just want to point out the last few minutes, like I want to say like the last, like, it's really from like the living funeral up until the end because he has the bow a lot. And like the bow isn't nefarious. His daughter picked archery when he was like, you have to do something extracurricular. And they went to one lesson and she didn't like it. But like he just decided that he's going to continue to do it. Like that's just going to be his thing to have a hobby. But like from the point where he draws an arrow pointed at Russ, really to the end of the movie when he's talking about how he doesn't get hit with shit anymore because he's walking across the city with a bow and arrow. It's like a villain's origin story. A little bit. Like you kind of expect him to immediately like break bad afterwards. Like someone does assault him on the street for giving a bad weather report and he's like, you know what, motherfucker? Ding. Shot. I don't know. It was unhinged. The bow and arrow scenes are a little bit unhinged. I don't really know if that's the effect that he was trying to have, but I would watch it for like the last like 30 minutes of the movie because they were just a bit ridiculous. But now, otherwise, I'm not going to recommend it. What about you?
I wouldn't not recommend it, but like maybe go into it with your eyes open about the fact that it is a downer of a movie.
Yeah, it's definitely not a happy-feely movie. I think that is going to do it for us, though, this week. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening to us. And if you want to follow along with us, we are on socials. We're on Instagram at NotTheBeesPod. You can also find us on patreon.com/NotTheBees if you would like to be generous and to support us, which we, of course, would absolutely approve of and love for anybody to do that. And yeah, I guess that's going to be it for us this week. I've been Megs.
I've been Elizabeth.
And we'll see you next time.